Hello again everybody and welcome back to Dark Souls 3. Now, last time we pretty much just went through the entirety of the catacombs and we could move on to the next area now, but there's still a bit more for us to explore, though it won't take too long. We're just gonna go down that bridge. It's worth mentioning that this bridge will get reset every time, but I just, recorded this straight after beating Volnia, and over there is actually a prism stone that Andre left. So normally to have destroyed this bridge every time when I get down here, but we already did so. And down there we could actually see Horus last time we came here, but first we need to find him. Now, this guy might look familiar. We fought someone just like him before when we were with Sigurd, and over there is a chest. Now that chest I know is a mimic. Unfortunately, it doesn't really seem to care if we attack it from such a distance with such little damage. Now what we want to do is actually aggro it, because this mimic will also attack that chaos demon down there. In fact, both the skeletons that are in this place as well as the mimic will attack the chaos demon, and depending on how things go, the chaos demon will either obliterate the mimic or the other way around. It just depends on what kinds of moves they use, because they do a lot of damage to each other generally, and if things go particularly well, one will die with the other one considerably weakened. Now, generally, I would say that the Mimic is easier to fight, but that's mainly because the Mimic has pretty much the same moveset as in Dark Souls 1. So I'm glad he got the better of the Chaos Demon here. And we did actually get a soul of a demon from him. We'll have a look at what we can make from it soon, end of this video. Meanwhile, this Mimic holds a very worthwhile treasure, if you're into katanas, I mean. But I personally prefer the Uchi katana. The Black Blade has a bit of a shorter reach, but it could technically have more damage potential. I'm not too sure. I think it's about on par too. It's kind of hard to tell. I haven't actually done any extensive testing on this. And yeah, down here's a ton of skeletons. Most of them have glowing eyes, if not all of them. So, yeah. You are supposed to lure him up here to fight the demon, but the thing is, we already had the Mimic. You can either, lower those up or the Mimic. Instead, we get a bit more mileage out of Boulder Heave. Very useful, especially with a lot of enemies that just kind of cluster together like this due to the splash damage. Obviously, a direct hit will do more damage, but the splash damage, as you can tell, is just really not something to just ignore. It's fairly substantial. And something else that you could have done is just run on, because fighting those skeletons here is not actually worthwhile. It can be wiser to just, run around down there, collect the items, and then move on to the next room. Because, those skeletons just... They're a time waster, essentially. But on the other hand, they're not too difficult, even in these large numbers. As long as you're careful enough, they won't really do much of anything to you. And if you have attacks that can take out multiples of them at once, that's gonna make things easier still. Look at that, there's actually one more left. Didn't want to die like his friends, but no, we're here. And this one actually dodged as he got up, interesting. I don't think I've observed this before. Now here we get something that's very useful for pyromancers. The Witch's Ring does boost the power of pyromancies if only you equip it, much like the Great Swamp Ring. And the two of them stack. But for now, I just want to exchange the ring. Though if I wanted to maximize my damage output with pyromancies, I could use both of those rings and just do a bit more damage that way. But we're not really maining pyromancy at this point, so it's not really necessary. And this is an interesting area. We're not going to explore it fully today. Just a little bit into it. Because I think you're supposed to explore it a little bit later, and yes, there's a giant ballista shooting down arrows at you. And this is a pretty good spot to get large Titanite shards, because pretty much all those treasures that you can see lying around, they are large Titanite shards. So if you want to upgrade your weapon to +6, just go down here, collect those things, but be wary of that ballista thing. It'll kill you, probably. If you actually look up to it, you can see the arrows approaching and dodge them rather easily once you get the timing down. Because dodging by sound alone, because of the varying distance, can be quite tough. Because at one time you'll be fairly close, but then later on still you'll be much farther away. So you can't just rely on timing your dodges to the sound. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother with that lizard. We can come back down here anytime, if you want to get them still. And a Titanite chunk, nice. This will actually allow us to upgrade our weapon past +6 to +7. But anyway, this is the spot where Horus waits for us. And Horus, from the looks of it, is not very friendly towards us. In fact, it would be safe to say that he's gone hollow and lost his mind completely, and as a result is now attacking you. Maybe just without Anri, he didn't really have anything anymore to, you know, hold on to his sanity. I'm not sure. Maybe that's the case. Maybe he just happened to be very close to hollowing and that's why he left Anri in the first place. Because otherwise, I'm pretty sure he would have stayed. But here we are, killing Anri's friend. Now, if Anri were still up there, we could tell her that we killed Horus. And if we had found Horus without killing him, we could tell her about that too. And supposedly, there is an ending to the quest where she'll go down and actually go hollow. However, I've never done that, and I don't intend to do that. The quest still has 2 more endings, both of which we'll see. And, you know, they can be triggered by doing what we did. You don't actually need to ever tell her anything about Horus. And it might be for the better, to be honest. But that's all we want to do down here in the Smoldering Lake. There's a bit more to explore here, but we're gonna do so later, because again, I think this area is supposed to be explored a bit later, once you're higher leveled and have a bit of better gear, but it's not really too bad. We could go around and just do everything here at this point in time, but, you know. But before we leave, actually, let's just collect those Titanite shards and, completely ignore the giant worm. This is one hell of an obstacle. A worm paired with a ballista. And he shoots lightning. Of course he does. You could actually use the ballista to your advantage here, but I generally prefer to kill him a different way, which I find to be safer and easier. But anyway, let's leave again. There's nothing for us to do down here, for now at least. We're gonna be back though, don't worry. Now, even though we're done with this area at this point, I do want to show you the entrance to the next area. Because it's quite beautiful, it's quite a looker, so I want to end this on a high note. Let's leave the catacombs. Alright, let's rest at this bonfire and call it a day. But first, there's something I want to show you. Aside from the weapon that you can make from the demon soul that we found, let's actually have a bit of a look at an alternate character, because what if we didn't kill Yuria, but instead, you know, kept hollowing and hollowed to the max?
Speak thy desire, honorable Lord of Hollows, our Lord and Liege. Knowest thou of a youth named Anri? He is hollow, and will join thee in wedlock. A fellow of mine guides him at this moment. When the time is ripe, thou mayst make thy salutations. For what lord taketh no spouse?
And this quest actually leads us down to one of the more hidden endings of the game. And it's also the reason why Anri is a man or a woman, depending what gender you pick. Though I would prefer it if she or he just did not change gender but had a fixed one. But you know, you can't have everything you want in life. But let's look at the boss weapons actually. Demons were born of the Chaos Flame, but the flame has not survived, and the demons are a dying race. That's the description of the soul of a demon. Now let's have a look at the Demon's Fist, the first weapon we can make from it. The description going as follows. A demonic fist that burns with fiery essence. Its wielder can release this power through use of its skill, when two-handed fists are equipped in each hand. Now this is one of the few fist weapons. The more famous one is probably the Cestus, because more readily available, and it's probably better, though I haven't really used them too much, in this game at least. I did use the Cestii quite a lot in Dark Souls, though I think the technical proper plural is actually Cestus, the way the grammar works. But, you know, I'm not here to argue about grammar of a dead language, no less. Anyway, this is a fist weapon, meaning you punch things, meaning it's pretty cool. And it has an uppercut. Unfortunately, it does not function as a launcher, like, say, the special attack of the Zweihander. You can't have everything you want in life, I suppose. On the other hand, you do get, like, a little spinny attack as a weapon art. So if you use your weapon skill, you'll just spin around and, you know, hit some stuff. I have to mention again that this is on New Game Plus and these weapons are unupgraded. Meaning they'll do a lot less damage than they would otherwise. But still, they are fun, like all the fist weapons. Unfortunately, they're not as good as they were in Dark Souls 2, where the Cestus was really good, and the Dragon Bone Fist was really good as well. But hey, this is fun, and I could see myself actually using it at some point if I can be bothered to upgrade it. Because I like fist weapons, I like these gimmicky runs with specific weapon types too. I just haven't done one with a fist weapon in this game yet. But moving on to the next weapon. Here we have the Demon's Great Axe. This Great Axe, a favorite among demons, contains the strength of fire. The demons born of chaos harbor fire, and yet they are twisted and malformed, such that they never meant to be. Well, yeah. This is essentially just a huge axe. It functions the way you would expect an axe to function. And that's about it, really. Well, except for the weapon skill, which does something somewhat interesting. And you can, of course, only use it if you meet the stat requirements to actually wield the weapons. If you don't, these weapon skills kind of lose their special properties. Here it's just a bit of an explosion. There you go. Nice little AoE effect. I honestly don't really know how practical it is in combat, because this is another weapon that I didn't really use in combat yet. In fact, I only used very few boss weapons in actual combat at this point in time. Like 2 or 3 of them, at most. But if you use it right, this could be really great, especially considering it pushes people back like the Force Miracle. And just seeing people fly around like no one's business is actually kind of fun. Would be even better if we could do it as a plunging attack, but unfortunately that doesn't work. Anyway, that's it for the weapons that we make from the soul of a demon. See you again next time when we move to one of the prettiest areas in the game. See ya!